Windsor Park neighborhood in North Las Vegas facing delays in a redevelopment project. Residents of this neighborhood, which was originally built in the early 1960s in a racially segregated portion of the city, they've dealt with structural issues to their homes for decades now, and recent legislation mandated relocation assistance and new housing. The legislation resulted in the city of North Las Vegas securing $37 million in federal funds to build new housing near the existing neighborhood and to provide relocation assistance. Well, with the project 8 months behind schedule, Governor Joe Lombardo has proposed reallocating $25 million of the federal funds to different affordable housing programs and substituting the federal money with money from the state budget. So what is the history with the Windsor Park neighborhood, and what concerns do local residents have with the governor's proposal? And here to discuss it all, we have attorney Matthew Hoffman with us from Battle-Born Injury Lawyers. And I'm so glad we're talking about this, because I think this is a situation where you're kind of looking out for your neighbors, feeling bad for them, that they're stuck in this situation. They had these homes built, they live there, and yet for some reason, they're just not livable. I mean, they're literally sinking.
Yeah, it's look, it was the early 1960s, right? And in Las Vegas, there wasn't any de facto, formal segregation, but there was segregation. And this neighborhood is on the north end of the historic West Side. And so in the early 1960s, between 62 and 64, this was advertised to black families. Hey, come live the American dream. Buy houses, we'll have this wonderful neighborhood. And they did. And people bought in. They're looking at building generational wealth. From all accounts of people who lived there in the early years, it was wonderful neighborhoods. And then in the 70s or so, the land started to collapse. And what happened is, and the developers probably knew it, I mean, this is the early 60s, it is what it is, but this was all a natural aquifer, a water aquifer. And as the city grew, the water was drained. And all of a sudden, that land started to collapse. So you have all these homes, cracked foundations, cracked walls, the roofs are collapsing. And so in the late 80s, early 90s, there was an effort in the federal government, the state government, and the city of North Las Vegas. They got $14 million together to try to help move residents and get them out of here and compensate them for this.
Right.
But it wasn't enough. And today there's about 90 residents left that still own homes, that still live in the area. So in 2023, I think it was Dana Neal, the assemblywoman for the area, passed the Windsor Park Environmental Justice Act. It basically said to the city of North Las Vegas, go find the money from the federal government, fix this. It's been 60 years. And they did, they got $37 million. And now they're gonna use that money to build new homes in a nearby community, brand new, move residents, compensate them, and help move them and make it right.
So when you hear that, you think, okay, all is well, suffering will end.
Right, and then
it's delayed.
It's delayed.
And now the governor wants to take some of that money.
Yeah, and so I can understand the skepticism of anybody that's lived there. I mean, 50, 60 years of this, we've been hearing promises. What it is that the federal funds expire. They expire about 2 years from now, December 31st, 2026. So the governor is getting quarterly reports. That was part of that bill that was passed. They have to report the progress. And they're getting reports, hey, we're 8 months behind already. And so the governor's coming in, the office saying, look, you're already 8 months behind. If this isn't completed by December 31st, 2026, the money's gone. All the 37 million or whatever's left. So let's take 25 of it. Let's reallocate it to other programs that exist, like rental assistance, that qualify for these funds. And we, the state, will replace that 25 million. Sounds good on paper, but these residents who've been dealing with this for decades are going, yeah, sure. What guarantees do we have? And it's a good question, right?
Do they?
Not right now, they don't. And so this is the process to get it started. There's a legislative session next summer. So I think what you're seeing here is saying to the residents, look, this is what we're thinking about doing. Let's get ahead of it, because we're going to bring this up next session. And then let's hear your concerns. And one of the concerns is the deadline. The deadlines are good. Let's have a deadline. Let's make sure this gets done.
Right.
And this way they can write that into whatever the bill they amend to this Justice Act, to make sure that there's deadlines, maybe there's progress requirements, and a guarantee of the 25 million to just finally make this right, because it's a travesty.
So what happens to the remaining part of the 37 million?
Well, that's already going to be, they're projecting that that's going to get spent on land development and existing projects within it, no problem. But to complete the process, they're worried it won't get done by December 31st, 2026, and all the money won't be out, spent. So this is a way to make sure that this gets done and done right. At least that's the way I'm reading it. But if I'm a resident, I want to see that in writing. I want to see guarantees. So
yeah, they met over the weekend, a lot of them, and they were up in arms about this. So hopefully they're listening to you right now and attorney telling them, hey, you got to get those guarantees in writing, because you can understand there's some distrust there.
100%. I mean, you bought the house being told it was a wonderful neighborhood, and it sank. I mean, from the beginning. So, but I think that they have a great assemblywoman who's going to protect them. I think it'll get done, but I can understand the skepticism.
All right. Well, thanks for breaking it all down for us.